Welcome to our World Series special edition of the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, managing partner of 76 Capital, the sports tech venture capital company. Today, I'm excited to welcome back to the show CJ Handron, who is the CEO of Diamond Kinetics, the leading baseball and softball tech company, and they are also the trusted youth development platform of Major League Baseball. We're going to discuss the business side of the World Series. We'll talk about the ticket prices. We'll talk about the players' salaries, viewership, and of course, the tech side of things. Please make sure you subscribe to our show. You can do that on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our 76 Capital website. Well, let's get right to it. CJ, welcome back to our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Thanks, Wayne. Thrilled to be here with baseball getting center stage and spotlight right now.
I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, you couldn't have, well, look, I guess we could have had some of our teams, whether it was the Pirates, the Phillies, the Mets, some of the guys that we kind of like, but like the Dodgers and the Yankees, this is what MLB really was hoping for, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is an iconic World Series, and there's something to be said for the importance of the smaller market teams getting there, and the Diamondbacks in a World Series last year. But every once in a while, being able to have two of your Titans is pretty special, especially when you look at the star power and you just look at who's on the field and what we're getting to watch every night.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So it's as we're taping the show, the Dodgers are up 2-0 in the series, and the series is shifting back to the East Coast, to New York. And if you were a betting person, you'd probably say that the Yankees are going to probably take at least two of the three here, and we're going to be going back to the West Coast, and that's exactly what MLB wants. But what's amazing about this is the business side of this so far. I mean, maybe from your perspective, talk a little about what's been going on from a ticket price perspective. I mean, it's amazing to see some of these numbers.
Yeah, I would assume, and obviously, my part of the world of baseball is on kind of the youth side of things, but watching and kind of living in the market every day, it's pretty amazing what the ticket prices, the secondary markets look like. And you're talking about the two largest markets in the sport, but you're also talking about two of the largest stadiums in the sport too. So the sheer volume of tickets is pretty unbelievable. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about the demand, the interest in the star power. I don't think it's just the market sizes. It's who's on the field. It's Shohei, and it's Judge, and it's Soto, and that's an attraction that I think everybody wants to see.
It's amazing. I mean, when you look at it now, I mean, one of the things that we were both reading and talking about over the weekend was about, what Sportico talked about, and how, this could be an additional $70 million that the Yankees make based on the fact that from ticket sales and suites. I mean, those are big numbers. And I mean, when you pay an Aaron Judge $40 million and Juan Soto $31 million, it's like you're basically getting the money to pay those guys just in the postseason.
Yeah, I think when you think about it that way, you stop for a second. You're like, wow, it's pretty unbelievable when you think about what one postseason or one World Series can do. But that's the way the game is built also, and you think about, the ability to pay athletes like that, to handle a payroll like that. It's a function of what you can demand and the revenue you can generate in your market. And I think, sometimes we look at the postseason in particular, like the data there from Sportico. But if you step back and look at 81 home games in two of the biggest ballparks in America that are routinely and consistently sold out or near sold out every night, that's what's really driving this, and what really drives the revenue that those teams can generate, and in turn the payroll that that they're able to support at the upper ends of large markets in baseball. So yeah, it's profound. I think they can't assume that they're going to, get to the World Series every year and generate that kind of additional revenue, but they can bank on the depth of the regular season and what they can bring in on a game by game basis.
So basically, you're saying a 10-year contract for Shohei Ohtani at $700 million. The Dodgers can afford that. Mookie Betts, 12 years, 365, they can afford that. Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million, they can afford that. Stanton, 13 years, right, 325. I mean, these are eye-popping numbers. So if you're a young kid out there thinking about all this, I mean, you kind of wouldn't be so bad to make it to the major leagues. There's certainly a lot of parents who are paying for their kids' travel ball. Be like, yeah, that'll pay for that.
It's hard to look away from. Those are more than eye popping numbers, and so yeah, I would. I mean, I think whether you view it as positive or negative, and you can there's discussion on both sides of it. Like that, it's hard to look away from, and that does trickle its way down into youth sports, and it finds its way into how people look at it, whether it's through the college ranks or then ultimately kind of this goal of playing professionally.
Well, but doesn't it also, one of the things that we talk about a lot at, at our board meetings at Diamond Kinetics and just in general, that the the youth participation in baseball. Maybe talk about some of those numbers. I mean, sometimes when I share with people how many young people are playing baseball, it blows their minds.
Yeah, baseball and softball are really in the probably the healthiest place they've been in a very, very long time. And I think, Major League Baseball certainly gets some of the credit for that with the investments that they've made in play ball and in, wanting to see a healthy youth ecosystem. And I think there's, certainly going to be more to come there as time goes on. But as a team sport, it's got the highest participation rates. It's been growing consistently over the last 4 or 5 years from a participation perspective. So, I think MLB understands the importance of that from a fandom perspective, and creating lifelong fans. Playing and participating in the game certainly is a big contribution to that. So it is, I think people do see that as a surprise sometimes, or they feel like, oh, maybe baseball's on the decline, but it's actually quite the opposite, especially over the last 5 years or so.
Absolutely, and certainly when you look at the viewership, the regular season had a a record year, and now at the same time, the amount of people that are watching the World Series is off the charts.
Yeah, and if you look at the last 2 years of data, certainly you can tie this back to what most would say are very positive changes to the game itself, and rules changes that made the game a little bit faster pace, a little easier to consume. And if you look at 2 years of data that MLB has published, it's showing itself in attendance at ballparks, which have been on the rise the last 2 years. It's showing itself in viewership, whether it's regular season or postseason. And so I think at the big league level, those are good changes that have enhanced the entertainment value of the game. That's really good to see.
Yeah, and one big thing, a lot of times people will talk about MLB and there's the superstars. Well, there are superstars in this World Series. There are superstars that are being, all across the league, but it's unbelievable, from Ohtani to Betts to Freddie Freeman to Aaron Judge to Stanton. I mean, it's just, and the list you can continue, right? I mean, like there are some really recognizable names and stars that young people are truly looking up to, and these are some really good role models.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why this is such an important World Series for MLB. I think they would tell you, that they've put a concerted effort to trying to showcase their stars on a more national level. And what better way to do that than have this many former MVPs in the same place at the same time in the World Series? And they are the stars that kids want to emulate. They want to be like Aaron Judge. They want to be like Shohei, and you see it. I see it. I'll put my, my coach hat on, of 11 and 12-year-olds. You see it in the way kids celebrate after they get a single or a double, or they score a run. And they're mimicking what they see in the World Series. They're mimicking what Mookie does after he doubles and looks back to the dugout with his teammates. And so, I think this couldn't be any better for Major League Baseball to have that kind of star power on a stage where, if you're not a fan of the Yankees or the Dodgers, I think most kids are watching the World Series. They want to know what's going on because of the names that are in it, even more so than the teams that are in it. The star power is just unbelievable.
Well, we could never have a conversation, without me, sitting here with our, with your Diamond Kinetics and Marucci Smart Bat. I mean, I've always got it in my hands. I got the left-handed, stance going right now because I'm thinking of Freddie Freeman and that, his 2 home runs, certainly the grand slam, which was unbelievable, right? But let's talk about the tech side of things. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see how much technology. I mean, you mentioned also the changes in the game from an innovation perspective, what MLB has done over the last several years to make this game even better. Maybe talk about some of the tech that's being used today that from a major league level, but of course, definitely want to talk, about what's happening and what you can do as a parent, a coach, a kid today, how you can have some of those same amazing experiences that the major leaguers are having.
Yeah, if you look at the last 10 years, it's almost unrecognizable in terms of technology adoption at every single level and part of the game. That includes at the big league level. And so whether, we see a lot of this ourselves as we watch a broadcast. If you have what Major League Baseball does with Google and Google Cloud. You have Hawkeye and Statcast, which is becoming part of every broadcast we see. The data that's generated is not just used to make the consumption experience more interesting, but now they pan over to the dugout and players have an iPad in their hands and they're watching an at bat back. They're looking at data that they have, and so. And I think we see that now as table stakes in a mainstream part of the major league experience. But what's exciting and certainly what we spend all our time on at Diamond Kinetics is like how elements of that experience find their way to everybody at every age and skill level from an accessibility perspective, a cost perspective, and be able to bring that right to you. And we obviously do that through, smart bets like the one you had in your hands there. And we do it
Oh, I
through,
still have it,
your,
CJ.
there
I'm
you
not
go.
putting it down. Right?
And
I
we
got
do
it.
it through the mobile device that, that almost every kid has in their pocket with them. And our goal is to, bring elements of that big league experience right to your backyard. And I was, you think about watching what we've watched the last couple nights, and I'm watching this with my 11-year-old son. That Freddie Freeman home run was that moment, right? It's that moment that as a kid, if you're an adult now and you played baseball or you played in the backyard, you have that moment where you simulated the 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, in this case bottom of the 10th, down by a run. It's the World Series, right? He had that moment. And to the extent we can, we try to recreate or create environments to do fun things like that and use technology in your own backyard. And we use MLB content. That was immediately in our app the next day as part of our little daily dingers, challenge, was to recreate and simulate that experience. So as a baseball fan, I love it. As a baseball dad and a coach, I love it. And certainly for what we're doing at Diamond Kinetics, it is a really good example of that energy we're trying to create for kids.
And specifically, like if you, as a kid, you were able to go and into your backyard, your garage, a field. I mean, you could take out a tee or go out with your friend. I mean, you immediately can, as you said, emulate that experience, right? I mean, you could do that right now with the tech,
Yeah.
doing it on its own. I mean, but actually really seeing the results.
Yeah. I mean, we bring big leaguers right to you, right to your backyard. So some of that's, meant for kind of fun game-based experiences. But it's equally, about instruction. And so you can listen to the favorite drills that big leaguers have. You can simulate those and do those with them in your backyard, in that spirit of, hey, they're at the highest level of the game. What do they do to get better every day? What are the things that I could do? And in the past, without technology as that bridge, there really was no mechanism to even have that opportunity. And that's really what we're trying to create. All of that is on the, kind of the with a bat in your hands side of things. We're equally as excited about what's happening with, live streaming and video, because what also was something you couldn't do, not let alone 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, was have that same type broadcast experience for the game that you play in, right? And so you've got this convergence of the ability to stream and broadcast games, the ability to overlay, to incorporate data, all the things that we've now become used to seeing as we watch a big league broadcast or we watch a World Series game. You're going to continue to see that get closer and closer to the ground in your community with your team, and be able to replicate a lot of elements of what it feels like to be a big leaguer. But when you're 9 or 10 or 11 years old, bringing that to life through technology. So really excited about where all this is going.
So it's like that Fox broadcast you get, or ESPN broadcast, or TBS or TNT, whatever the network has, where you see all the data, you see the numbers. You can have that as well as a youth baseball player
with not much more than the phone that's in your pocket. And that's what's, I think, so amazing. Again, whether you're using that phone to, stream the game and create content, share it with family and friends, whether you're using that phone to, to connect and integrate with sensors, so to bring your bat to life and include that data, it's all that accessible. And I think that's what's so exciting for us as we watch all of this unfold.
So as we wrap up here on our special edition of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show, all around the World Series. So what an exciting series it's been so far with the Dodgers and Yankees. Just one last thing. I mean, you talk about, the partnership that Diamond Kinetics has with Major League Baseball, how you're able to use the content and information. How does that work? Like, if you're a kid, let's just, as an example, let's make it Charlie as an example. Next year, he's up 2 outs, bases loaded, and he hits a grand slam to win the game, which I'm sure you would love. But he does that. How does it work where that matches together with Freddie's home run?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, one of the things that we're most excited about is, like, when you have all of that personal information, whether it's, that moment on the field, that video, that highlight, or even it's, the data that smart bat generates, and we know, your swing path and how you swing, creating fandom, creating these moments where you connect that to a representative big league experience. And that's part of the core of our partnership with Major League Baseball, is the ability to kind of access and utilize, data and video content from MLB to create those magical moments where we say you had a Mookie Betts kind of moment, you had a Shohei kind of moment, you swing like Aaron Judge, right? Your path, is most similar to Aaron Judge's. Those create these twinkle in the eye moments for a kid where you're like, man, that's pretty amazing, right? Because you feel like for a split second, I'm that big leaguer. I'm connected to it. And I think as we see all of this continue to develop, we'll continue to be able to make that more personal. And I think as you go on that journey as a kid, those connection points to professional athletes and our ability to create those, even if you don't know that athlete, but you have this feeling, I'm kind of like Mookie, that it's really special. And I think from a fandom perspective, that sticks with you, for life.
Well, it's amazing. So excited to see all the progress and all the exciting things that you're doing at Diamond Kinetics. We're all, we'll stay tuned in to see what happens with the rest of this World Series. And again, CJ, thank you so much for joining us on this special edition of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. Best of luck to you and the whole team at Diamond Kinetics. And let's see what happens here. This is going to somehow go 7, I think. And it's just going to be a really exciting thing for the overall sport of baseball. And just excited for the fact that you guys are right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. Really enjoyed being here, and I hope we see 7 games too. As a baseball fan, there's nothing better. So let's keep watching and see what happens.
All right, we'll have you back soon. Thanks again, CJ. Best of luck.
Thanks.